Hello, my name is David Knickerbocker, and I thought I would kick off a new series. I've been playing guitar for about 32 years. Occasionally I give people guitar lessons just for fun. I don't charge money for it. I just like to learn all the time, and I like to show people what I learned. Over the course of my life, that has manifested in me writing a book about networks. I've also created 3 companies, and one of my brands is called Groove Seeker, and it's on my hat. So I'm a musician, and I also promote other musicians. And so if you're a musician, you should pay attention to Groove Seeker, because it uplifts everything around it, and it doesn't take anything away from you. It only helps you. So I'm first and foremost a musician. Probably, maybe equal parts programmer. I started writing code when I was about 6 years old. Started playing guitar when I was about 15 years old. But I feel that I'm about a 50-50 split between musician and engineer. And so I kind of think about the guitar, not just feeling, it's a bit analytical. And so I played guitar for about 32 years, and I just thought that I'd start this series and kind of pass on a little bit about what I've learned over the course of my life. When I was in my 20s, I played in bands quite a lot. And then later in life, my daughters were born, and I kind of put music on pause for a long time. But this year I've started performing a lot more. And now the nervousness is just gone. So I'll probably make a band again pretty soon. But for now, just thought it'd be fun to start this new little channel. Well, I have a channel called Groove Seeker now, so we'll just leave it on the Groove Seeker channel. And this will be called Guitar Signal, because a lot of what I do, I think of as the signal in a whole lot of noise. There's so much noise in the world, so I just try to provide good information for people. So let's start. I don't want to ramble forever. I first started playing stringed instruments in elementary school, like a lot of people, learning how to play the ukulele when I was a kid. And I remember immediately falling in love with the ukulele. I don't really know why I stopped playing it when I was a kid. I just did. Maybe the class stopped or something like that. But fast forward a few years later, I was in middle school, and some of my friends took me to a cool thing when I was 15 years old. And one of the bands was playing this cool song about riding on their motorcycle. I can still remember the chord progression. It was like, yeah, it sounds so smooth. And so it was a bunch of high school kids playing in a band, and that song was about riding on their motorcycle. I just want to ride my motorcycle. And it was super duper cool. And so I really liked watching that band when I was in middle school. I only saw them once, but I fell in love with them when they were playing. And then one of their songs that came up was Creep by Radiohead. Thought that was so freaking cool that there was a song called Creep. I grew up in a really sheltered home. I wasn't really allowed to listen to most rock and roll or music. I had to listen to sheltered music. But music transcends everything. Music finds you. And so even though I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of good music, good music found me. And so I was introduced to Radiohead and Creep from seeing that band when I was a teenager, and I just thought that was so freaking cool that they're singing about being a creep. And also, that was probably one of the first songs I ever heard with a bad word in it, which was cool. So then I went home and I was 15 years old, and my mom had a guitar. And so I just asked if I could use it. And I think my mom taught me the C chord. And my mom used to play when she was a teenager, but she didn't really keep up with it. So the guitar just kind of sat around in her house forever. But she did remember the C chord. So my mom gifted me the C chord. So I would say that she kicked this off for me. So the band introduced me to Radiohead, which made me fall in love with guitar in general. And then my mom taught me the C chord, which was cool, giving me the first place to start. But you can't really do a lot with the C chord. And I didn't have any teachers in middle school teaching me guitar. Nobody was teaching me guitar. I was by myself a lot when I was a kid. And so I had my guitar. And so my guitar became my friend when I was a teenager. I didn't really have anyone to talk to, so I just hung out with my guitar. And I just fell in love with it so much. And around that time was when Nirvana came out. So Smells Like Teen Spirit was happening, and grunge was just first happening. Another really cool thing that was happening that's not related to guitar was rap was amazing at that time, I thought. Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature, so much good stuff. Cypress Hill. I love the 90s. I mean, I love the music from around 94. But around 1994, there was also a lot of grunge happening. And I thought that was really cool because I didn't like the 80s at all. But I loved the sounds of the early alternative music. And especially I love the sounds of grunge music. So I went from hearing that band that was, when I was 15, playing Radiohead, to what the hell is this stuff? And so just getting into Radiohead and getting the albums and just hearing it from my friends and learning how to play Fake Plastic Trees and learning how to play a million other songs from Radiohead. But you don't just start with the guitar and start playing songs. You have to actually, it's a little bit painful the first month for a few reasons. One is it physically hurts your hands to push down metal strings. And so when you're first learning, you don't push it down very hard. And so it'll just sound kind of like that, like you're grating metal on metal or something like that. It just sounds bad when you don't have the finger strength to hold it down, you know. But over time, if you keep working on it, then you get these really strong calluses on your fingers. But you also build finger strength, which helps you hold down the strings. But the only way to get stronger with the guitar is to practice with the guitar. You have to suffer through about a month of pain. It's best to just not think about it and just instead think about you're trying to learn a song and just focus on the cool thing that you're doing instead of, oh my God, this hurts, oh my God, this hurts, oh my God, this hurts. Because it really doesn't hurt that much. We've been through worse. You can deal with a little bit of finger pain from holding down a guitar string. So, sorry, this is how I talk. I'm kind of matter of fact. But when you first learn how to play the guitar, a lot of people will start you with the C chord, which is 3 fingers. You know, it looks like 1, 2, 3. And we'll zoom in on these a little bit later. But I would say that the C chord is not really the ideal place to start learning how to play the guitar, because there's easier chords to play than the C chord. And so when I teach kids, I don't teach for free. I don't teach for money. Just I have friends who have kids, and so when I teach their kids how to do things on guitar, because they ask what's the first thing to learn, I teach them the E minor, because the E minor, your hand looks like love or devils if you want to do metal or punk. It's easy. It's 2 fingers, and you get to push. You get to strum all the strings. So it's really hard to screw that up. And it also sounds really nice. And from there you can do a lot of things. And so E minor goes great to A minor. E minor goes great to G. E minor goes great to F. So basically you can go from E minor to C, E minor to D, E minor to whatever. Like, it's a good jumping board from E minor to all kinds of different things. So instead of starting with a complicated thing, start with an easy thing. 2 fingers, 1, 2. So if you want to see what that looks like zoomed in, it looks like that. I'm on the 2nd fret, and I'm covering this string, and I'm covering this string, and it looks like that. I'm sorry I don't have a fancy camera. We're gonna have to just do this a little bit old school. So you hold it down, then you strum it. And that's what it should sound like. If it sounds any differently, look at your finger. If one of the fingers is on the 3rd fret, it's gonna sound like this. Which sounds kind of cool for certain songs, but not this one. That's how it should sound. And that's how it should sound. And if your finger is right on the metal, it's gonna make that muted sound. You don't want that unless you are trying to get that. Sometimes you want the muted sound. If you're playing Nirvana, that's intentional muting. Things with intentionality, but if you're not intentionally pushing on the metal string, I'm not on the fret, it's going to sound like that. It's not going to ring properly, or it'd be muted, or it will sound even worse like that. So you want to hold it down so it sounds like that. So each of the strings sounds like. Right? Easy. Then, if you want to just practice your strumming, you can just keep your hand in that position for half an hour, and you can just practice in your strumming. Right? Or if you're doing harder rock. The point is, you can stay in that position, which is going to build hand strength, and you can work on your strumming. So whenever you're learning guitar, you're kind of having to learn multiple things at the same time. You're working on your hand, or you're working on your strumming, or you're working on some other thing that's annoying you. But when you're learning things, I think it's important to get out of your own way. And so when you're trying to learn something, you should start with the simplest possible thing and take little baby steps forward. And so one thing you could do is go from the A minor to what would be an upgrade from a chord with 2 notes would be a chord with 3 notes. But there's multiple chords with 3 notes, and so let's aim for an easy one. If we want to go from E minor to E, we just add 1 extra note. On the 4th string, on the 1st fret, you put your 1st finger down. And so instead of holding it up, you put it down, and it sounds like this. That's an E minor. I'm sorry, that's a E major. Like that. And if we remove the finger, then you have E minor. So that's sadder. But if you add it, then it's happier. Right? But getting back to that cool band I saw when I was 15 years old, the first song that I fell in love with was not the Radiohead song. It was the cool song where he was just holding down the E chord and then sliding it up frets. He was doing the easiest thing in the world that sounds freaking cool. And so pay attention if you're a beginner guitarist and you're around other beginner guitarists. This is a cool way to impress them. So you can do all kinds of these cool sliding things with guitar. You know, you can go. So here's a Radiohead thing. It goes. That's not what we're doing. That's way more advanced than what we're going to do. What we're going to do is take the E chord, which again looks like instead of the love, you're doing this. It should sound like that. And so right now your finger is on the 1st fret, so use that as your anchor. You can think of that as the 1st, right? So Next, slide it up from there to 3. And it sounds like this. And then slide up to 6. And it sounds like that. So going back to the first. See, sounds nice. And then you throw on some distortion and it sounds very cool. Throw on some reverb, throw on some delay. You could pick it out instead. There's all kinds of songs in guitar that have that simple sliding. Like this is an old Smashing Pumpkins one. So in guitar, it's pretty common to find a simple hand shape and slide it and make cool sounds, and that's how you make a song. So like see, easy progression. We could easily turn that into a song if we wanted to. Throw on some. It's just easy, you know. So anyway, getting back to the beginning. The very beginning, you know, don't get overwhelmed learning how to play guitar. Learn the easiest thing that you can possibly learn today. Don't try to do something. I mean, and it's good to push yourself. I won't say don't try to do things that are really hard, but don't let them intimidate you. I will say that for myself, I got paralyzed by one song by the band Fish called "You Enjoy Myself," because it was really impossible to find tablature back in the early 2000s for the song, and I also had no guitar mentor, so I didn't know about arpeggios and things like that. So that song it was just way too advanced, and I was getting so down on myself for not being able to play "You Enjoy Myself." And yesterday I kind of found my way through that frustration, and I can finally start to play it a little bit. But even after 32 years, it's just a really challenging song. There's lots of songs out there that are just really challenging. So don't get down on yourself for when things are just, when you're not making progress. Make progress on something else instead. So if you get stuck on something, put it down and make progress on something else. I'm gonna put this guitar down, pick up another one, because this needs some work. This is my current pride and joy. This is my Gibson Hummingbird, and I was chasing hummingbirds for about 19 years, and then I bought this last October. So this is a fancier guitar than the last one. It has more of a resonance. So this is a Gibson. So this is the E minor. So sounds good, just more reverb. So anyway, getting back to learning guitar, I don't like the word teach. Everybody is learning. I don't like the word teach. I'm just sharing what I've learned. So if I were to share anything with people when they were getting started, it's just learn the simplest thing that you can possibly learn that brings you some kind of satisfaction when you're playing guitar. So truly the very first thing I learned how to play guitar, because I didn't really have anyone teaching me. So I was just I think I did something like. I still have that in my head. I probably played that a million times when I was 15 years old. You know, but that's a chord progression. Like, this is Jimi Hendrix. So at some point, Jimmy was like, "Hey, that's cool, right? That's cool." So when I was 15 years old, I was like, and so I'm just practicing sliding and just practicing stuff. And at the same time, I'm hurting the hell out of my fingers because I don't have any calluses at the time. So that really, really hurt. When you're pushing down on strings and you're sliding like that, when you have no calluses, first of all, that's a good way to build calluses. But second of all, that hurts, freaking hurts. But I never really cared about guitar pain. That guitar I was just playing a minute ago, the first day I bought it, I actually played it so aggressively that I knocked off the skin of my finger and I didn't even notice it. And so to this day, there's some blood spots on it from like 19 years ago. It's a gross mental thought to some people. I think it's pretty badass, but whatever. But there's some blood spatter on my guitar from about 19 years ago or whatever, when I was just playing it too much and I realized I had cut my hand and I just kept going. So I just never even noticed pain when I'm playing guitar really anymore. Maybe my mind just shuts it out. And then likewise with this guitar, when I got it last October, I played it for probably 12 hours the first day. Truly, I did not put it down. Just walked around my whole neighborhood, walked around my whole town. I was just so proud of this guitar. Just played it everywhere. Just sat on every bench and played music and came home and played music, played music, played music, played music. And that's how I am to this day. So if you're in pain from playing guitar, you're making progress. Can't really see my fingers right now, but every single one of my fingers has calluses right now, including my pinky. And so they're all very strong from a lot of practice and a lot of playing out. In terms of how much time should you practice every day, I think you should just practice for how much you can practice every day. You shouldn't feel guilty about guitar. If you miss your chance to practice that day, then that's how the universe works. So I hate dogma when it comes to music, you know. Obviously there are some really hardworking and professional musicians out there, but for me, I like to just pick up my guitar and play. And I like to just teach people how to play songs. And so to me, it's like, I don't know, cowboy mentality or something. But I grew up on a tropical island, so it's just I'm a simple thinker or something. So anyway, I'm thinking this is going to be the first video in a series, and I'm not typically going to do really long videos, but I thought it might be cool if I create this series and I just kind of gradually pass on things that I've learned over the course of my life while playing guitar. I'm not worried about dying or anything like that, but you just never know when it's your time. And I have a lot that I've learned, and I'm happy to share with people. And I've written a lot about data science already, but I've written almost nothing about guitar. And writing about guitar doesn't do the same thing as, you know, playing videos on YouTube and stuff like that. So please like, please subscribe. I don't know how to do that whole influencer thing, but I think they say that kind of stuff. So, you know, please like and please subscribe and please tell your friends about it. Grooveseeker supports everybody. I am Grooveseeker. I am also a guitar player. I don't know what I'm going to call my band yet. I thought about the name 67s, just for that old school vibe, but also just to make a joke. But I think that's just more of a joke than a band name. Grooveseeker supports all of Portland. We have these cool little newspapers that we drop off all over the place. All kinds of record stores like Music Millennium. Anywhere that has a place for us to drop event newspapers, we drop them. We can do this for every city in the whole entire world. We already collect event information from all over the world. We can see Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, etc., etc. So I'm just a music guy, music and art, and also a technologist and a programmer. So please like, please subscribe, please comment, please tell your friends, please tell everybody. It takes work to share knowledge with people, but I would do it anyway, you know? So I'm used to writing stuff that nobody reads. And I'm used to making videos that not many people watch, you know? So tell me what you're stuck on. Let me know any songs that you want to learn. I'd be happy to help you. Once again, my name is David Knickerbocker. I've been playing guitar for 32 years. I'd love to teach you anything that I can. Not teach, hate that word. Love to help you learn anything that you would like to learn. Love to talk data science too. I have blogs for that too. You can find me on other platforms. And if you are a venue, not only would I like to play at your venue, but Grooveseeker probably already does support your venue. And so I would love to do stuff together. And I'd love to support you more. So I'm not here to be an opportunist. I support music. That's just what I do. I am music. So nice to meet you all. See you next video. This is the first. I'm signing off.